Práve som spomínal tie technologické problémy, takže už sa to trošku prejavuje, ale začal som tým, že som už veľmi dlho nevidel toľko prepojených a vypojených káblov v priebehu takého krátkeho času, ale ak sa všetko podarilo správne zapojiť, tak by sme mali už teraz vidieť na obrazovke prezentáciu, ktorú pripravil Daniele Grasso, taliansky novinár, ktorý pôsobí v Španielsku, konkrétne v Madride, a pôsobí v médiu El Confidencial a venuje sa dátovému žurnalizmu. Big data, téma, ktorá nás bude zamestnávať určite ešte v najbližších rokoch veľmi intenzívne. Je to novinár, ktorý tu nemohol byť osobne, žiaľ, z vážnych osobných dôvodov, ale my sme si želali, aby nám urobil svoju prezentáciu v skrátenej podobe, pretože tá téma sa nám vidí mimoriadne dôležitá. A je tam veľmi pekné prepojenie, pretože podobne ako Ján Kuciak na Slovensku, tak Daniel vlastne pracuje aj okrem iného na prípade Panama Papers, ale aj na ďalších prípadoch zahraničných investigatív, keď došlo k odhaleniu veľkého množstva dát, ktoré mali byť utajené a ktoré potom prospeli nejakým spôsobom k informovaniu verejnosti o rôznych skrytých transakciách, korupcii a podobne. Čiže dátová žurnalistika, príbehy, ktoré nám rozprávajú čísla, ale v tomto prípade za tými číslami sa ukrývajú naozaj ľudské aj tragédie, aj veľmi veľké drámy. Je to projekt, ktorý získal 2 veľké medzinárodné novinárske ocenenia, takže ja verím, že naši technici teraz nám umožnia, že začne Daniel prezentáciu na diaľku. Mali by sme ho počuť aj v tejto sále.
Okay. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Well, first of all, I'm really sorry for not being there. I hope that the technology will help us and to let you understand the guidelines of our work. And well, thank you to the organization for having me, for joining me, although it's by distance. It's a great pleasure to share my thoughts with you. I hope that can be useful for a debate about the new types of storytelling. Basically, as was said, I work for Confidencial, that is the third biggest newspaper in Spain. And we have a data journal a lot in constant collaboration with the rest of the newsroom. We basically use data to make investigative journalism, and so we collaborated in the Panama Papers and in the LuxLeaks case, and in the filtration, the leak of the HSBC data from Erbe Falciani too. But we also cover other themes, other topics, and trying also there to collaborate with other European newspapers. And that was the case of an investigation that 2014 and 2015 that is called the Migrants Files, and it was an ongoing project. Now it's been shut down, and I'm going to explain you why in a bit. And so just to start, the Migrants Files for it's a big collaboration. It's not just a project from our newspaper. Actually, the team that formed the Migrants Files group just received a grant to develop the project. It wasn't just an inside project. And for us, is the fact that is really interesting is that for us, the Migrants File is not just an investigation, but it's also a new type of methodology to give another angle to a topic that is daily by day covered in the news. And it's also important for us because it was one of the first data journalism trans-European project, and it's totally based on collaboration between different networks. What we wanted to do was to understand some numbers behind the migration issue. And when I say we, it was because we were a quite big team This was just the name that you're seeing on the screen are just the initial team. We are every of us is or a data journalist or a programmer, and we were financed by the Journalist Fund with a really little grant that helped us to start the project. As maybe you can see also in other European countries, but at least here in Spain, migration is really a hot topic every day. The only problem is that we always have like a lot of numbers about how many migrants are entering the countries, but there is absolutely no coverage on. There were absolutely no coverage on how many migrants are not entering, but are trying to because they are dying on their way to Europe. So why we were seeing that kind of headline in the newspaper, we were quite shocked. We were thinking about how to put a shot. It was like the first really big shipwreck in Europe in the last year. There were more than 700 people died in a shipwreck near Lampedusa, and the team that I was talking about was really shocked by actually not just the shipwreck, but also about we were shocked for a sentence said by the mayor of Lampedusa. She, that is actually is still a mayor, said that she wanted the prime minister to come down here to Lampedusa and count the bodies with me. So like we were pushed by this sentence to start thinking about why there were no numbers on how many people were dying. We had always like single number, like there is a shipwreck, we have the exact, more or less exact number of deaths, but there were no numbers about how many people were dying in the last year, for example. What we found that yes was online and was available, and there were official number on that, was the Frontex organization that you may be aware of. Is the European organization that right now is coordinating the effort from the different countries to tackle the migration issue. So there is in the Frontex webpage there is this map where they trace the different routes from where migrants come to Europe normally. Also, as you can see in the green box, they always remember us that most of them come by plane, and this is quite important also in the news coverage. That is a part that we never think about. So starting from these different routes, we started looking for data about these different routes, but no European organization has any type of data about migrants dying in the different routes. No Frontex, neither the different countries. Actually, we asked authorities in Italy, authorities in Spain, in Greece, and no, there were no official number on that. So fortunately, we were organized and a transnational team. I am from Spain. There was a part of the team was from Italy, a part of the team from Greece, a part from France, Germany, and also Sweden and Finland were joining the international team of journalists. So we start digging into the poor data that we have in each of our countries, and actually what we saw that there were no data on the topic, or at least there were no reliable data on the topic. From that moment on, we asked ourselves how we could investigate this problem, although there were no official data. So we start we use the methodology called open intelligence. That basically means see what there is out there, see if there is reliable, and try to build your own database to tell the story that you want to tell. So just to give you a general idea of what we did, we found a lot of on that case of trying to reach Europe, but we found that 3 of them were really reliable. There's an Italian journalist he was actually in his blog creating a database, but by his own, and just reading the news and collecting data from the news. We also found that there is this big organization in Europe called United Against Racism, that is like an umbrella organization for more than 50 European NGOs, and they were collecting data. Actually, although they weren't checking every number that they had, but they were collecting data from news outlets and from basically from the news, and also from independent reports from NGOs. We also get in touch, as I said before, we were collaborating also with people from Finland, and we get in touch with the University of Helsinki that really helped us, giving us access to a system called Pulse that, not to be bored with that, just to say it simply, is something like a special Google alert system that can filter the result of whatever you are looking for in the news that are published day by day. So basically, we asked the system to read all the news and give us them as a table, as a little data set, in which we have our basic information about migrants that were trying to reach Europe. So getting there, basically what we were doing was create our own database from different data sets that were out there and that were not structured in the same way. So we had really to focus on give structure to our organize it, to eliminate, for example, the duplicates that we have, because an event, a shipwreck, could be registered in more than one database. And so what we did was just checking a part of it through a script, and part of it basically manually, to cancel the duplicates. And then we tried to geocode every data that we had. So that was during more or less 6-7 months of work, of investigation, and in the meantime we were also working on the other side, trying to get in touch with the organization. As I said before, I mentioned Frontex. Frontex, there were some data that Frontex give. There are actually some data that Frontex give every month, and is the number of saved lives, as they said. And through a Freedom of Information Act, we asked them how they were counting human saved lives, and we understood that every diverted back migrants was considered by Frontex as a saved life, and that actually, if people coming from Senegal were pushed back to Senegal, for Frontex, these were saved lives that and data that they give like that in their press coverage. So basically, what we had when we decided that we were ready to publish was that we went from the lack of data to having a database that we know, and we actually know that it wasn't the perfect database. It has its limitations, and we really are aware of them. But we managed to verify 23,000 deaths between 20 and 2014. Also understanding the network of the migrants, how they were, on which routes they were done. The other routes, we understand also that walls like the one that are built in Ceuta and Melilla in Spain, or for example between Bulgaria and Greece, the only thing that they do is not to push back people to their countries. They just basically people stop going on that route where there is a wall. They go to another route example, the central Mediterranean route and the routes, and this caused most death. And basically, that was the first part of our project. That we decided to create a map and put it together on the map. As I said before, we were from different countries. So on the day of the publication, we published all together from different countries, and every news organization with its story. But we have in common this map that basically you don't need you don't need to know any language to perfectly understand the map. So it was a big splash for us, and also it was very important that the fact that after this map was published, the International Organization for Migration, that is the organization of the UN that monitors the organization, they didn't have any database, and they started to use our database to create the database that nowadays actually they are keeping up to date and they are using. When we arrived here, basically we knew that we were missing something, and between the thing that we were missing, there were obviously the money. So for us was also an important part. We asked for another grant to keep on investigating. Our group of international media was expanded to more newspapers. We had in this second part more newspapers. We had 12 newspapers from different European countries. And we started to asking, as I said, let's count the money. 6 billion euros more, so 13 billion euros in total. And we also find out that the structures for this kind of programs to force repatriations and to prevent migrants' arrivals were one of the biggest firms in Europe, like Finmeccanica, Airbus, and Thales. I'm sure you have a question about that, and for the reason I will be open to them in the Q&A. And if you just to a final push, you have on GitHub you have if you look in Google for the migrants files methodology, you will find the complete methodology.
Thank you very much, Daniele. Maybe the very first question which comes to my mind immediately is that today here we're trying to engage people to tell their stories in an effective way, to get to the audience, to get to the public. So how with you, with the project, the Migrant Files, how did you try to get all this data you collected, this awesome work you did, to the newspapers, to the magazines? How was the response to your work in Europe?
Mm-hmm. Well, I can give you 2 point of view answer. First of all, was our approach to our newspaper was the fact that made the project interesting for them, in the sense that they were hearing about a project that is counting and using data to visualize and to show a totally new part of a over-reported topic as is migration. Other fact, I introduced the big map that we were seeing here in a paper that we were publishing with, and this was that was really interesting for us also to see, for example, in the social network, the exactly same map to the different shared between different media. And what was also quite strange for the public to see, hey, why El Confidencial is having like their homepage is exactly the same from L'Espresso in Italy. And that was really to create another level of interpretation of our investigation. And as I said before, then I didn't stop here, but for example, we made other maps to we have interactive maps and graphs to give an idea of what we're talking about. And for example, we used also this type of graphs. We use a lot of interactive graphs to show the people what were the numbers that we were talking about. And for example, This is just a small version of a graph that was published really big in a Confidential, where you can see, for example, the clear distinction between what are 47 million used for detection of migrants compared to the number that I said before, 11.3 million used for deportation. And we see this graph, for example, we go through it and we can really have an idea of how much money are we spending compared to the rest of money that are we spending.
Nech sa páči, má niekto z vás nejakú otázku? Máme tu aj mikrofón, môžete ju povedať a Daniel ju ešte zodpovie. Máme čas na nejaké 2? Tejto téme. A nech sa páči tam, v druhom rade, poprosím. Ja to môžem tu nás opakovať prípadne. Pýtame sa, či počuje.
On the other side, we wrote stories about how Europe is European taxpayers are spending. We had, as I said before, we had a really little budget. Our budget was 7,000 euro to share between almost 12 people. So it was really little budget, and we decided to publish stories in every newspaper, and without any stunning visualization, because in this case we think that that was enough, and people reading the story. Actually, this type of work was then rewarded not just with views by our user and our readers, but also with the European Press Prize and with the Data Journalism Award the last year and the year before.
Okay, thank you very much, Daniel. We will have to finish now. Thank you very much for joining us via Skype. All the best for your work. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
There's a big applause now for you. I don't know if you can hear it. A vďaka samozrejme aj našim technikom za to, že sa s touto veľkou výzvou tu popasovali. Ďakujeme za vašu trpezlivosť. A teda to bol Daniele Grasso z Talianska a Španielska.